From the beatdown at the music festival in the third episode to an act of mercy killing in the season's last episode, these are the most controversial moments from Tulsa King, starting with the time that the general and his gang showed up at a music festival to beat down his rivals. All right, picture this: Dwight Manfredi, the guy with a knack for stumbling upon unconventional business ideas, came up with something that'll ring a bell for anyone attending a Fish concert. He decides to sell nitrous oxide at the Ogallala Land Music Festival. You'd think it's a brilliant idea, but only some people are on board. Enter Cowlin Waltrip, the big boss of an outlaw biker gang, played by Richie Coster. This guy hates the thought of anyone else raking in cash, especially when it comes to his precious nitrous. So, while Tyson and Bodie are making a killing selling those cheery yellow happy balloons, a couple of bikers show up and start causing trouble, ready to beat the living daylights out of our friends. Not only do they bash them, but they also swipe their hard-earned cash and snatch their precious nitrous tanks. But Dwight isn't the type to let things slide. He rallies the troops, ready to give those bikers a well-deserved smackdown. Tyson's dad joins the action too. Yep, the old man shows up to fight for his son and his friends. Oh, and let's not forget about Fred, the security guard. It turns out he's got some great leadership skills, offering up a battle plan that even the general approves of. Under his command, Team Tulsa takes Black McAdam head on, and they come out on top. They manage to reclaim their stolen tanks as prizes. Chalk one up for Team Tulsa. While this was a threat to business, Manfredi doesn't let any kind of disrespect against him slide, even if it's a simple transaction. You see, every respectable gangster needs a stylish set of wheels. And for our guy Manfredi, that means getting his hands on a sleek Lincoln Navigator. So, he sends his new driver Tyson to Donnie Shore's auto corral to make the purchase. But Tyson returns to the motel defeated, explaining that Donnie flat out refused to sell him the car. Not only that, but the guy dared to call Tyson a crack dealer and even threatened to call the police. Well, you can imagine how furious Dwight gets when he hears this. The general wasn't about to tolerate such nonsense. So, without wasting a moment, Dwight storms into Donnie's place and confronts him directly. He lays it all out, saying that when he saw a young black man with a lot of cash, he automatically assumed he must be a drug dealer. But when Dwight walks in wearing a nice suit, suddenly he's not scared anymore. He's determined to expose the flaw in Donnie's thinking and proves to him how intimidating a white guy in a suit can be. And how does he do it? Well, he repeatedly clocks Donnie in the face with a landline receiver. A teachable moment indeed. In the end, Tyson drives off in a fully loaded Navigator for a bargain price of 50 grand. But his car troubles didn't end there. The driving test was one hell of a ride. Imagine dealing with the motor vehicle department bureaucracy after spending 25 years in prison. Dwight learns the hard way that a thrilling driver's exam is the last thing anyone wants. So here's the deal. Manfredi is taking his driving test when things go completely haywire. Suddenly, a guy in a ski mask pulls up next to him and starts shooting. Now, if you were a regular person, your instinct would be to get the heck out of there and call the police ASAP. But Dwight, he's not your average Joe. Instead of ducking for cover, Dwight goes full-on action hero mode. He chases after the masked assailant in a high-speed pursuit through the gritty streets of Tulsa. Meanwhile, Paul, the terrified driving test administrator, cowers in the passenger seat, praying for his life. The adrenaline-fueled pursuit only ends when Dwight slams his car into the other driver's Caprice, forcing the shooter to make a hasty escape from the chaotic accident scene. At this point, Dwight is pumped. There's testosterone everywhere. He uses Paul's blood to scribble down a partial license plate on the window of the Navigator. Safe to say, this might just be the most hardcore driver's test ever taken. So, next time you're at the DMV, be grateful that your biggest concern is waiting in line and dealing with paperwork. But the general wasn't just going to let this slide. He set out to find the culprit behind the incident. Manfredi turned to DMV Paul for help tracking down the culprit's blue Chevy Caprice. Dwight's investigation led him to the Fenario Horse Ranch, where he crossed paths with the lovely Margaret Devereaux, played by Dana Delaney, and to top it off, he spotted his former associate Armand lurking around. Instead of immediately jumping into action, our smooth gangster Dwight decided to play it cool. He waited for the perfect moment when Armand's partner takes their kids to school, allowing him to confront his old buddy outside their home. Dwight, armed and dangerous, cornered Armand and demanded answers. It's a classic get-to-the-bottom-of-it showdown. But here's the hilarious twist. Armand thought Dwight was there to finish him off on Chickie's orders. It's a complete comedy of errors. And during all this chaos, Armand spilled the beans and revealed that Pete, Dwight's former partner, betrayed him while he was behind bars. As Dwight interrogated Armand, he showcased his impressive multitasking skills, casually pouring a cup of coffee with his left hand while waving a gun with his right, all while squeezing in some philosophical musings about mowing lawns. What a man! It's a scene that captures Dwight's resourcefulness, determination, and charm in one badass package. But really, he can remain calm in all kinds of high-pressure situations, like during his inevitable showdown with Cowlin Waltrip. So here's the setup. Cowlin, the power-tripping antagonist, is getting frustrated because his attempts to intimidate Manfredi have failed miserably. In his desperate state, he decides to request a meeting with Dwight. They meet in an abandoned warehouse, the perfect backdrop for intense drama. Cowlin starts with his grandiose speech about how he worked hard to build his business and sees Dwight as an unwanted intruder in his community. But Dwight remains unfazed by all the theatrics. With a sly grin, he calmly reminds Cowlin that they're all outsiders on native land. And he drops this classic quote. To quote Woody Guthrie, who was from Oklahoma, "This land belongs to you and me." Mic drop moment right there. When Cowlin tries to dive back into his victim complex, Dwight shuts him down with confidence. He assures Cowlin that his crew is done with their nitrous antics, but he clarifies that they don't intend to tiptoe around the wealthy elite. The audacity of this encounter leaves Cowlin seething with anger. It's a power move, ensuring Dwight will occupy prime real estate in Cowlin's head. Talk about leaving a lasting impression. Even early on in the show, he sets the tone for what to expect of him, like a gentleman gangster. As soon as Dwight sets foot in Tulsa, he's looking for a golden opportunity and finds it in the Higher Plain dispensary. Tyson, giving him the lowdown, reveals that there's no organized crew running the neighborhood, and the general decides to pay a visit to the pot shop for a little recon mission. Dwight quickly realizes that the place has minimal security and operates on a cash-only basis. Dwight starts his pitch with a live demonstration, showcasing the dispensary's weak points by incapacitating the security guy, Fred, with a tire iron. Drawing out the owner, Bodie. Armed with nothing but his confidence, Dwight calmly demands Bodie to reveal the location of their money, throwing in a threat to break his foot if he refuses. With a cool demeanor and not a drop of sweat, the capo secures himself a profitable extortion gig, setting the stage for his rise in the underworld as he starts to build his empire in Tulsa. But one of the most unsettling moments of the show took place in the Happy Trails episode, and it's one from Manfredi's past. It all starts when a young Chickie decides to torture fellow mobster Ripple. The scene is horrifying as Chickie prepares to brand Ripple's face. In desperation, Armand reaches out to Manfredi, frantically seeking help. With impeccable timing, the general arrives just in the nick of time, halting Chickie's sadistic act. But in the chaos that ensues, Chickie accidentally sparks a fire that quickly engulfs the house. As they scramble to find the keys to free Ripple, it becomes clear that his fate is sealed. In a moment of incredible courage and compassion, Dwight makes a split-second decision. He shoots Ripple only to end his suffering. As the police arrive at the scene, Dwight manages to escape the burning building without a hint of hesitation. So, from his decision to kill Ripple to end his suffering in the season's last episode, to a beatdown at a music festival in the third episode, these were the most controversial moments from Tulsa King.